are you today? I guess you can tell we've got a bit of a different kind of vibe there with the music. Thank you for tuning in today. My name is Stephanie Van Bark, and I'm a small business owner. So we welcome you to Just Talking Business. Got started a little later, but this information and this conversation is going to be it's going to be very important, actually. I'm very intrigued by this business. I think all of you know I'm very intrigued by the beauty industry. And so the gentleman joining us today, I've known for years. He is a co-owner of Epic Nail Lounge. And without further ado, let's bring him on. Cedric Dawkins. Oh, you're on mute. Let us hear.
Hello, good morning.
Thank you for joining us today. Unfortunately, his partner won't be able to join us. She's actually doing some real hard work of serving the community, helping the community. So we will miss her, but definitely, I think you and I can hold down the fort.
Yes.
So I've said a lot. Well, let's start with this. Who are you and what do you do?
My name is Cedric Dawkins. I'm a South Florida native. Been in and around the community my entire life. I went to high school here in Miami, Florida, Northwest Christian Academy, went to college, Florida State University, and I was in education for 10 years and decided, to do a career switch. And I just kind of got the entrepreneurial bug. And after working in education, I dabbled in real estate for a little while. I also owned a trucking company, 18-wheelers for a few years, and then eventually ended up in what I'm doing now. Well, I have a public relations and marketing company that I started in 2013, Freeze Frame Marketing. And then I kind of, being in that space, you meet a lot of different people, a lot of different opportunities come your way. And during the pandemic, an opportunity came my way to purchase a nail lounge. And I was like, I don't know much about that business, but I'm willing to give it a try. And so I purchased the Epic Nail Lounge along with my business partner, Adrian Rogers, last September of this year, made a year. Okay. So we're like over a year now, heading into our second year. So very excited about that. And, fortunately, when we purchased the nail lounge, like a lot of the hard part, we didn't have to do. Like it was already set up. It was so beautiful on the inside. Mm-hmm. So that was one of the things that attracted me to it. And so that's pretty much how I got to Epic Nail Lounge.
Okay. So Cedric and I have known each other since college, actually. And we won't tell them how many years that is. No. We'll let them do the math.
A few years.
Exactly. Yeah. But, in those years, of course, you and I have been in the same area. And, just like you just reiterated, you've been an entrepreneur, a serial entrepreneur. Tell me a little bit about some of the successes of some of those businesses, where they are now, what, what made the transition occur, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
So we'll start with the trucking company. It was Roadmaster Trucking. That was another opportunity. A friend of mine was in it and doing very well. And I said, "Oh, how did you get started with that?" And he said, "Oh, you should, get into it. It's a pretty lucrative business." And I said, "Well, I can't drive an 18-wheeler, and I'm not going to try because I will tear some stuff up." He's like, no, let me show you how to do it. So he guided me through. So basically, I owned an 18-wheeler, and so I was able to get contracts. He gave me a couple of leads, which got me started. And so I basically called and, introduced who I am. And so I also learned that you had to purchase to make the most money, you purchase a refrigerated trailer versus a regular trailer. So with a refrigerated trailer, you can transport like I did a lot of work for Publix, Walmart, like transporting plants and trees and produce. And of course, but it's, the one thing is so funny. The one thing I used to turn down contracts because they had almost a catastrophe was a trailer full of ice cream. And with ice cream, you had to keep it at like some ridiculous number, like -30 or something like that, the entire trip. And there's even a way where the stores can tell, like if you had any dip in temperature during the transport. And if you did, they have the authority to decline the load, and you're stuck with how big an 18
right.
is. So you can't imagine having that much ice cream. So the one time I decided to try it, the doggone unit broke down. But my driver was so skilled and experienced, he knew how to somehow kind of like make sure that door stayed closed. Just like when the power goes out in a hurricane, you keep the door closed. And he was able to hustle and do whatever he had to do to get that thing working. So our load was accepted. But that gave me so much anxiety that I never wanted to do ice cream again. But it was a very good business, though. The only thing about that business was, basically your business's success was dependent on the dependability of your driver.
Okay.
Make sure if you have somebody who's on time and does what they're supposed to do. So I had a lot of successes, and I had a few failures. Going back to the driver, where one time the Home Depot up in Carolina was looking for my truck. They kept calling and calling. I'm like, well, my guy left 2 days ago. He should be there. And something told me, you know what? Check the Sun Pass. Looked on the Sun Pass. He had never left Jacksonville. And I called my cousin in Jacksonville, and he, knows the city very well. So he just kind of started combing the city. And would you believe that God led him to my truck? He said, I see your truck, and I'm not going to tell you where it is. I'm like, where is the truck? This guy was at a hotel with whoever, but like, you got work to do. Chilling out.
It took a couple of days.
Yes. Well, I guess it was a weekend, so I guess he figured that he could spend the whole weekend and get the stuff there by Monday. But no, that was like stuff that had to get there.
Correct.
And so those types of things are what you had to go through with that.
So is that your decision to say, okay, this might not be my business? Just kind of.
Well, yeah, because as the time went on, and what I also noticed, which I don't know is a good thing, but a lot of drivers, once they made a certain amount of money, they became hood rich, and then they don't want to work no more. Right. Mr. Dawkins, I'm going to take the month of June off. I said, what? You're going to do what?
Right.
Because the way the pay scale in that business is, so for instance, when I would carry the U.S. mail from Miami to one of the main plants in Spartanburg, Spartanburg is in North Carolina, I don't remember, but Spartanburg, which I think is South Carolina. I think. But so they would pay about $2,500 to pick up the mail here, the main plant down on 72nd Avenue, and take it up there. So basically you pay the driver a percentage of the load. So depending on how expensive the load is, they could make some pretty good money doing that business. And some guys, they just, once they make a couple of big checks, all of a sudden they're not available. And then you're stuck because if you do a good job, the people start calling you, and you have to start turning down work because you don't have a drive. Yeah. So that was the only challenging thing with that. And then of course, real estate is real estate. I mean, it was very good. Fortunately, I was in it when things were very, very good. But then when the market started to crash, I had to transition, and when everyone was foreclosing and stuff like that. And I had to learn how to do short sales.
Right.
And so, which is such now it may be more of a streamlined process, but back then, oh my gosh, I had files like this thick by the time the bank would agree to sell at the lesser price because the market had crashed. Prime example, with the biggest one I had, I had a client that was renting a property out west in Miramar from another gentleman that owned it. And so he had gotten tired of it and didn't want it anymore, but she just kind of was in love with the house. She wanted to buy it. But at that time he owed, I think, $900,000 on the house. But the market had crashed so bad, those houses only sold like $350. So I agreed to do a short sale for her. And it took, oh my gosh, like 9 months, me forcing the bank to come out and do several different appraisals. I'm like, no, that number's not going to work. You got to come back out again, and just all back and forth. Like, so finally I got them to sell it to her for, I think, somewhere around like $330.
Okay.
And so that the rest of that $600,000 is just,
they had to eat.
Right. Exactly. So I did short sales for a couple of years because that was really the only way people could sell their houses
Right.
at that time because, everything was overinflated. So now as I see all these prices now,
the same thing is happening.
I think the bubble's going to pop again, even though they have all these foreign people coming in buying these homes and stuff like that.
Cash, by the way.
It's only so much the market can bear. I mean, there are literally houses now in Liberty City. They have blue tarps on the roof going for $300,000.
Right, exactly. And anybody that is that's trying to sell at this point, even what they make might not accommodate what they go to. So it's really quite crazy.
Yes.
But it's so you made a leap. You went from quite a leap, I might add, from something like trucking and real estate to marketing, which you and I both know, having been in this market for a while, this is a highly oversaturated market when it comes to the whole marketing space.
Right.
How were you able to carve out your niche and become sort of a premier public relations executive in this market?
I would say I think what really, really helped me was being a South Florida native, one. And then I guess just the spaces that I have been in growing up and the places I went to school and stuff like that and the different, things I helped out with. So by the time I got to starting a marketing company, I just knew, a lot of people like, oh, I have to call their secretary or their this or their that. I've known them since middle school, and I just pick up the phone and call them. And it just has made things a little easier for me. And then, growing up, I always had, I guess I got that bug from my mother, an entertainment bug. She's always throws big parties and stuff, for 16 and this and that. And then in college, I threw, some nice little shindigs along the way. And then in my earlier years, I haven't done a big one lately, but in my earlier years, I used to do, big birthday parties for 25 and 30 and 40 and all that kind of stuff. And I was big on themes. I can remember my 42nd birthday. My thing was Chocolate City. So I asked everybody to wear brown. And then for my
that party?
I don't know. No, that was my 40th.
That party.
I was at my 40th. Then in my 42nd, I did Orange Explosion, where I said everybody to wear orange. And then the last big theme I did, I think, was for my 50th, sort of, but I was 51, and I did and that's when the song "Old Town Road," was popular.
Yeah.
Nas X, and so I did. So I think I made Old Town Road my theme, and asked everybody to wear cowboy stuff. And so that was really people. They really surprised me. They came with boots and hats, all kind of stuff. So those types of things I always like to do. So just kind of filtered into the business, right? And my friends knew that, so I had a few to call me to do things for them, and then just one thing just kind of led to another, and then and it's just so weird. It just kind of somehow kind of flowed into the political lane some kind of way, and so here we are.
So let's talk a little bit about Epic Nails. Started out with one of the reasons why I've always sort of been intrigued by the business industry. I remember going to a workshop because we got a wealth of workshops here in our ecosystem, talking about emergency. And what do you do for emergencies? And in this market, most of the time that concern is around the area of hurricanes. The pandemic was a whole different light. But they talked a lot about, or asked the question, one of the women asked the question, what industry survive all types of emergencies? And, everybody was throwing out government and education, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And somebody said beauty. And that's true. For some reason, the beauty industry seems to survive most of anything. It could be a lipstick, it could be hair color. I remember during the pandemic, they talked about hair color we'd run out of hair color.
Right.
So, so then Epic Nails, which is right down the street from me, actually, how you started this business during the pandemic. So what was there fear, and how did you and your partner sit down and say, okay, how are we going to evolve out of this? Which you did. So was there a strategic plan, or just kind of, you know?
It's funny. I don't think we really thought that through. We just kind of felt like, yeah, we're in a pandemic, but I mean, you know how people are. They still want their hair done. They want their nails done. They want to get their feet done. They just want to just kind of have that getaway of relaxation. And so we just felt like it was, you know, even with Zoom meetings all last year, you know, people didn't want to be on Zooms, you know, because some people had some very important Zoom, you know, you have like all kind of stuff going, like people who might have been in upper management, their Zooms were a little different from some other people's Zooms, you know, so they still had to be kind of on point. So they still, you know, like guys still got to get their hair cut. And now some people tried to do the no shave thing and have, you know, the beards became popular, but, you know, but overall people still kind of wanted to kind of keep their, I think that was kind of the one thing that made people feel halfway normal, you know, during the pandemic. So we just kind of didn't.
So what about during the shutdown? Were you feeling the pains of the shutdown, or were you just so new that you didn't have those problems yet?
I don't think we had too much of that problem. Now we did shut down for like about a week or so to kind of, you know, put up all the plastic shields. We had to order that kind of stuff. And then we put a plastic shield in front of the register and in between the pedicure chairs and all that kind of thing. So we, you know, took some time out to make the necessary precautions, mask mandates and gloves and things of that nature. But I think what helped us kind of through that period, we decided to create some Groupon specials.
Okay.
And so that kind of really helped us through because that helped bring in people from like all over.
Gotcha.
In the beginning, I used to go to the nail lounge like every day and just kind of sit there every day with the techs and everything, just to kind of, so I can kind of observe the clients and the environment, see how things work. And people would call from the airport and they would say, oh, I Googled nail shops near me and yours came up first. And can we just come in? We're straight from the airport. We don't have an appointment. And I said, sure, of course. I wasn't turning down no business.
Right. We'll figure something out.
Right. And those people used to show up by Uber with their suitcases. I said, well, just put your suitcase over there. And so it was really, really, you know, it was just like interesting. And so even today, a year and almost a half in, I still say it's interesting how, now I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing. I'm trying to figure this out. But we get a lot more outsiders, I guess you would say, than insiders. You know, like, well, it was put here to service the insiders, if you will.
Right.
But it's weird. We get so many people from the airport, people who are in town, I guess, getting ready to go to a cruise. We get a lot of, you know, neighboring communities, Wynwood. What else? Even some people have come from Miami Shores.
Okay.
A few over from the Gables. So I just thought it interesting that we don't get many residents that you would say. But of course, money is green.
Money is money, exactly.
So, you know, you can't say too much about it. Right. But it's an interesting dynamic.
So you opened, then I'm taking from that, you opened after the shutdown. You officially opened your doors after.
Well, no, we opened in September. Well, no, I take that back. We purchased it in September.
So it would have been after.
Opened during the holidays. We did a grand opening.
It would have been after like that full-on shutdown where nothing could be open.
Oh, yeah, we were, I think, after that.
Okay.
Because that was like, it started like in March, I guess, of last year.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, so by the time we opened, I think our grand opening was sometime in November-ish.
Okay.
Maybe right between Thanksgiving and Christmas, maybe.
Okay.
And so, I think it's
when I looked at, so you're primarily nails, correct? We've
super expanded since then. We do nails, you know, nail care, nail art, lash extensions.
Okay.
full body waxing. What else? And then of course mani pedis. And we also were working on a skincare line to
Okay. Nice.
debut in January.
Okay.
I'm trying to think. As well as facials. Going to have
Okay.
facials in January.
Okay.
But we do all those other services on the regular basis that I
Now,
just mentioned.
when you think of nail services,
Mhm.
that's generally sort of a lower price point than
Mhm.
hair services.
Right.
So is your focus in the business more about really trying to acquire, customer acquisition and retention, or
Mhm.
are you more focused on really trying to book multiple services with the customers that are coming in? Where are you finding that sweet spot that really seems to drive your business?
We're finding that people kind of come in already knowing what they want,
Mm-hmm.
but we've been, working on training the young ladies, to do some upselling,
Okay.
because some upsells are just natural according to what you're getting done.
Right.
Like if you come in and say, "Oh, I want to get my nails done. I'm going to this big party. It's a such and such theme." Like, oh, well, why don't you do a little nail art? We can put X and X, on your nail, which will fall in theme with
Right.
what you're attending.
Right.
And so, but I would say ultimately our goal is customer acquisition and retention, but also providing a great experience.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times when you go to, the standard nail line is very almost like assembly line, factory-ish, especially when you go to those ones where they have like 30 chairs, and all
Right.
that kind of stuff.
Right.
It's kind of like, oh, get your ticket, da 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 da, you're number 69, that type of thing. But we wanted to create more of an experience.
Mm-hmm.
So you come in, you're greeted with some beautiful chairs in the lobby area. We offer wine and water complimentary while you're there. We have the music on. Sometimes we'll have it on. Just depends on. We kind of gauge the crowd. Sometimes we'll give them a little 99 jams.
Right.
And then if it's an older crew,
You might
kind of switch it to 105. And then sometimes the girls have their own MP3 stuff
Mm-hmm.
that they'll put in and things like that. Just kind of create an ambiance and just kind of make the people feel more comfortable.
Okay.
Now the funniest thing is we did have to kind of implement a little 2 wine glass minimum because
We get a little special sometimes.
we had a little
Now you have a
stuff
little,
going on one
little
time.
party going on.
Some people were like, I'm like, what's wrong with you?
Oh,
It's wine. So maybe they had a little pregame tailgate going on before they got there. So we don't know.
A special tip.
No, yes, exactly. Yes.
So let's talk a little bit about your partnership, because I also am intrigued by partnerships. Again, you sort of said y'all just kind of jump right in what needed to be done. Did you do anything formal in terms of agreement?
Yes. So we have we both had our own companies. So we just kind of formed a LLC.
Okay.
And then use that to purchase the business.
Okay. Yeah. And in terms of, I remember I had a hairstylist once who'd gone into a partnership that didn't do very well, just because she said they never had sort of a sit down conversation about each other's role. Were you that formal, or have you both sort of ebbed into where your specialties lie?
I would say the latter.
Okay.
The latter. And plus, with us being friends for so many years, I mean, we just kind of know each other's strengths and weaknesses.
Mm-hmm.
So she's very detail oriented in terms of operations and stuff because of her extensive career in education as an administrator. So that she was able to take care of that, and it's plus the personnel part of it. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's what she does. So that was just kind of natural. And then of course the marketing part and the I guess the ambiance part and all that kind of stuff is kind of like what I do. So it just was kind of a natural kind of just everybody kind of get in your lane.
Mm-hmm. And everybody does that
right, and do your thing. I didn't Now, one thing I wasn't comfortable with that we had a conversation, so she kind of handles it. I'll handle it sometimes. But say if there's a labor relation issue,
Mm-hmm.
I just felt as a man, I don't know. I felt some kind of way like chastising, if you will. That's not to that extreme. That I maybe choose another word, but just giving some strong suggestions on customer service or whatever the case may be to the young ladies. I don't know. I just felt kind of weird with that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I asked her to kind of do that. So I think it was just easier for her to kind of go and sit down with them if she needed to, as opposed to me doing it.
Was your discomfort, did it come from that's just not your personality, or you were concerned about the appearance from a male to a female?
I think just the appearance.
Okay.
And these days you just got to be so
you
might tell somebody, oh, I like that dress you're wearing today, and next thing you know, it's a whole thing. So
you're right.
So that's why I just kind of
into the wind.
Of course, we have our casual conversations. They're just basic stuff. But if we needed to correct something or really have a stern conversation about something that we didn't like, that we just maybe saw going on, I just prefer that she did it and not I. So
that's a good observation, though, because this is a day where that's a concern.
Right. So, and things that you may not think are concerning, other people may take it as a whole, like, oh, I'm offended. I was offended because, and I just don't want to get into that kind of stuff,
So what would you say is one of your biggest challenges and concerns as a business owner, and in particular this business? Is it personnel?
No, but the only personnel challenge that we really had was in the beginning trying to find people to work. Because that whole back then when we started was like that whole climate of, I got my stimulus check. I'm gonna wait a while before I find a job, and then it just came like second stimulus, third stimulus,
nobody's working,
business loan, PPP, this and that. So it's like people were not trying to to work. I don't know if you've seen, there's an Amazon, I think there's an Amazon commercial that's out. And the people are like, I want to work, but I don't want to work. I can't work days and I can't work nights. You ever seen that commercial?
No, I haven't. But I'm hearing that's the trauma roll. So they said like last month, 40% of the workforce quit. I was like, we didn't get a stimulus check, or apparently I didn't get a stimulus check.
Right, I didn't get one either. But hey, I know. But I guess but one thing I will say the pandemic did, I think it because when people were laid off unexpectedly and they had to scramble to come up with something, I think it made a lot of people open their eyes to see that, oh, I really didn't need that job. I can
try and do this different things. Yes,
I can do all kinds of different things. And then, of course, then you had the I still have to kind of determine how that all works, but the monetization of like TikTok and all that.
Right.
These kids are making like $20,000, $30,000 a month.
Exactly.
Dancing in front of their phone. Like, really?
Some of them can't dance.
Well, if they're doing good and if they're consistent, then they build their little following.
There's a personal conversation.
I'm like, I need to go back a generation so I could kind of get more into that.
Exactly. Figure out what's going on. You see what I'm trying to do right now, right?
Yes. So that's, so that's another thing.
Though. I think there's been a whole shift of how people are looking at generating income for themselves, which for us small business owners and owners in general, that's a bit of a challenge because, you can't have a business and have no one work for you. It's
right, really exactly. I've seen so many now hiring signs around town.
Exactly.
Even
take you immediately.
Right. And then Wendy's has a thing now where you can basically walk up there and say, "Oh, I want to work today." You're like, go back there and get your shirt and your apron. We're gonna put you on fries. And at the end of the day, you get a check if you want.
That's hardcore right there. We
I'm
are at
like,
that point. That's
what?
off the charts. And but
Yes.
then, like they were talking about it earlier today too, and this is a concern as a small business owner. It's
Mhm.
also making people demand more money. Well, as a small business owner, don't get me wrong. It's not that I want to pay my people, but as a small business owner,
Right.
I've only got so many dollars I can spend.
Right.
We're having
Exactly.
to figure out how to be very creative in your personnel. So,
Yeah.
and how you are paying your personnel.
Mm-mm. Well, fortunately for the technicians, over this time, a lot of them have kind of created a new clientele for themselves,
Mhm.
and so their people look out for them. They had some nice, we especially, I know, I guess was it last around the Christmas time, we were like booming, and so since I used to be in there every day back then, I would do the cash outs of the tips and everything out of the computer. And some of them would have like $100,
In a
close
day.
to $200 in one day. One
Mm-hmm.
day. So the service industry has its ups and its downs. I know a friend of mine years ago. He's a police officer now, but years ago he used to work at Bennigan's. He told me he used to have like sometimes $300 on a weekend from tips.
Right.
So when you add that up, just say on the average you get like 150, 200 a day. You work 5 days a week. That's $1,000 on top of whatever little salary you have.
And
so
you
in a
got
month, that's
52 weeks
$4,000. That's
a year.
pretty good.
That's that's a salary. That's a
Right.
full salary.
Exactly. So that would so in terms of personnel, I think that would be that has been the only challenge that I can really say. Of course, you have little things here and there. And just people have all types of different personalities.
Right.
Some strong-willed, some very passive, and you just kind of just have to say, hey, you got to pull them to the side and say, hey, don't, because now I will say some customers, everybody is not as polite as they should be, and you just have to kind of be in that space where you can always rise above the fray. And just be like, okay, no problem.
We'll work this out.
Right. However you like to, do it.
Right.
But for the most part, everything has been pretty good.
So what's the strategic plan? Where are you going? What have you had this conversation at all about, where do we want to be in 3 years, 5 years, 20 years?
Well, I would hope what we did talk about was, building up a brand for ourselves where we can afford to branch out and do a second location.
Okay.
Second or third location, something like that. And just kind of keep the brand going. Okay. And in terms of like marketing and stuff, I'm always trying to find avenues to do, little things. I've been reaching out to some people to try to see if I can get some sponsorship, to do some different things. I missed a great opportunity in October, but I'm going for breast cancer awareness, but I'm on it for the next time.
Okay.
It just kind of came so fast, things.
Right.
Operating multiple businesses is just like, stuff.
You got things going all at the same time.
Right. So now we're approaching the holidays. So we're trying to kind of create a strategy where because we do sell gift cards. So I'm going to try to create a marketing campaign to just let people know that we do sell beauty gift cards. So if they, want to gift their relatives a gift card, and they're customizable amounts.
Okay.
So you can get the gift card for $50 or whatever, and then whatever comes under that $50, of course, the person can get it like any other gift card. So that's something that we're looking to do for the holiday season.
Also, remember, November is Women's Entrepreneurship Month. So that might be a good promotion for next year, by the way.
Yes.
Get our feet done every now and then.
Yes, and we were going to try to do, I wanted to do something for Art Basel, but it just came so fast.
Right.
Kind of once we got the confirmation, they're actually going to do one.
They are?
Yeah, they're doing a Soul Basel. It starts November 27th, and it's going to run through December 5th.
Oh, I knew they weren't doing it. Okay.
Yeah, I haven't heard this. I haven't seen the schedule of things yet, but that's what I'm saying. By the time that announcement was made, it was just kind of like too late for us to try to
Correct.
think of something really quick.
Okay.
And I was going to try to put something together at the OPEC, because I did something at the OPEC about 2 years ago, but I was informed that someone bought out the whole week at the OPEC. So,
Okay.
Yeah. So, but yeah, those are the types of things I want to kind of get into, doing more things for the community, and which would also double as ways to get more people into the doors to see the shop. Because I'm confident that once people come one time, see how pretty it is, and they're satisfied with their service, that they will continue to come back.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm going to check it out. I am. I'm going to make a point of walking, because it literally is a block away. That far. You know how you always kind of go into one place, and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot this is right down.
Right.
So I got to do better.
So we have our website. So most appointments we prefer that they book online.
Okay.
Only because it just decreases the whole backup of people sitting around waiting. So they book online. We kind of know this person's coming in. So that way, if someone does walk in, we know where the gaps are.
Okay.
And we can plug them in.
Yes. So tell us how we can find you.
I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
Tell us how we can find you.
Oh, you can find us on Facebook, Epic Nail Lounge. Well, I think I changed it to the new Epic Nail Lounge, as well as Instagram. Instagram is the new Epic Nail Lounge as well, I believe. And Twitter, we have Epic Nail Lounge Twitter. And we have a website, www.epic-naillounge.com.
Okay. All right. Thank you so very much for joining me today. I think this has been a wealth of information. As I mentioned, please share with us anything you're doing. We'll definitely get it out.
Yes.
To our business owners and to our community. We're connected to going.
Yes, most definitely.
And again, just wanted to tap into how you've been able to pivot as a business and continue to continue to pivot as a serial entrepreneur.
Yes. And
that would continue to happen, I'm sure. I've come, it's so funny. I had an epiphany like a week ago. I was like, I think I'm a serial entrepreneur. Who knew?
Right. I'm just, as I look back, I'm like, oh, I did that. I did that. Yes.
Who knew? So yes, thank you so much for sharing with us.
Thank you. We appreciate the opportunity at the Epic Nail Lounge.
And come back.
Yes, of course. Anytime.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining us again today. That was, again, a wealth of information, especially when you look at talking about the pivot plan for a beauty service industry. I never get enough information that way. So we have to thank Epic Nail Lounge for joining us. Next week, join us here on next Tuesday at 10 a.m. We'll be talking to Clarissa Willis, who is the owner of Nayama Productions. It is a production company that's focused on identifying talent acquisition. So we look forward to that as well. Thank you so much and have a great day.